Well, hello and happy National Batik Day. What, you didn't know it was National Batik Day? Perhaps that's because you don't live in Indonesia. Well, I should actually say happy belated National Batik Day. October 2nd in Indonesia was, in fact, National Batik Day, and that is the day that I was planning to do some batik experimentation, but as things do, it kind of went a little sideways. So here I am a few weeks later. The batik process originated in Indonesia, where it's been practiced for millennia, and then from there it spread to many other parts of the world, and it was introduced to Sri Lanka during the colonial period. It's now become a national textile practice in Sri Lanka. And when I first embarked on my ancestral cloth investigations, I wrote down some of the things that I wanted to look into, things like spinning cotton, batik, and lace making, and I quickly got sidetracked. But I decided that it was time to come back to some of those other things that I had wanted to work on that I didn't get around to doing the first time. The way that batik works, it's a process for coloring fabric that uses melted wax to protect parts of the cloth from receiving dye. So by repeatedly applying wax, dyeing the fabric, then applying more wax and dyeing the fabric again, you can get a multicolored fabric that has some very distinctive characteristics, one of them being these little crackles that appear where the wax cracks and the color can seep through. And you can use all kinds of tools to apply the wax, but the most common one that I know of, I know it as a janting tool. It looks like this. It has an area that holds the wax and lets it drip out in little amounts, and it's very similar to a smaller version that's used for dyeing Easter eggs. I've been carrying this tool around for a very long time, intending to use it to do some batik, and today is the day. And it turns out, like many things, that this process is quite simple, but not simple at the same time. So basically all you need to do is melt some wax, use the tool to apply it to cloth, but many things can go wrong. So I found that the dye did not penetrate the cloth that I was using. I think if I'm going to be doing any more of this type of dyeing, that I need to find a way to keep the wax to stop the wax from cooling down while I'm using it. It's my first experimental piece. I gifted it to the ground as part of my Buried Earth book project for this year. This was the page that went into the ground for October. Instead of using dye, I used 3 different things. Some hibiscus tea that a friend of mine had given me for dyeing practices. I raided my pantry and pulled out some turmeric. And then the third thing that I used, some other kind of tea. I don't know exactly what it is. Somebody mailed it to me and said that they thought I had asked for it. And it was not me, because I drink tea every day. So I have no shortage of tea that I can use for crafting experimentations. And I've sprinkled those on top of my cloth that's going into the ground, and it's been, yes, and yes, I am wearing sandals outdoors in October. We've had a really warm start to autumn this year, and it's been incredibly dry. In fact, it's been so dry that the yellow string that I used to wrap up last month's bundle is still bright yellow, and it looks brand new. It doesn't look like it's had any damage from its month in the ground at all. Anyway, the bundle's back in the ground for another year, and next month I'm hoping to investigate another one of the textile practices that are well known in Sri Lanka and that I had hoped to do when I started out on this project, but haven't quite got to yet. Once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you again next month.